Hello, everybody. Welcome to another conversation. I am joined by Brandy Vega. Brandy, how are you doing this evening?
So good.
Where are you from originally?
Originally from Arizona, but now I call Utah home. But it's terrible here. Nobody would like it. You're fine. Stay where you are.
So, how did you get into the kind of work that you do?
Well, Promise to Live started because I almost lost a child to suicide. And I made a promise to God that if he saved her, I would do whatever he needed me to do. And so I've spent the last 4 years doing that mission. And it's interesting because it kind of like my background is I was in media, graduated high school early, joined the Army. I served in the military as a broadcast journalist, public affairs specialist, got to work at the War College, interviewed the president. And I was reporting for Fox News in my 20s, early 20s. And then I worked in TV for a long time and built my own studio. And then when I almost lost a child, I knew what we were doing in suicide prevention wasn't working. And so I made it my mission to deliver hope and healing and resources in a unique, different sort of way.
One of my stepdaughter struggled with that a lot when she was in high school and kind of still going through the motions. So I completely relate to the struggle that is, and
Yeah.
it's it's awesome that you found a way to turn that into a positive with what you're working on. So can you tell us about what's coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So with my background in media, when I discovered that there was a breakdown in how we're doing suicide prevention, I actually shared my story on local news, and that story ended up going viral and saved a couple of lives, people that reached out. And I realized it was on social media and stuff that if we want to change things and reach people, we have to reach them where they are on the devices and the platforms that they use through the people and voices like yours and others that they already know, trust, and follow. So we put together a show on September 10th, and it's coming right up. September 10th will be our fourth annual global live stream for Promise to Live. And we're doing that in Hollywood, right on Hollywood Boulevard across from Capitol Records. And what we do is we deliver messages of hope and truth and authenticity, but they're inspiring from people that you love, know, trust, follow. So we have singers, dancers, celebrities, influencers, experts. And it's this 2 hour show that's kind of like the Oscars or the Emmys, but for mental health. And we honor heroes in healthcare. We have 6 people taking home awards from across the globe. But then we have incredible performers and people coming on. We have Jojo Siwa, we have Allison Holker, we have Rob Riggle, Jay Brewer with Prehistoric Pets. And we get them all involved, and then we stream our message across all their platforms. So it goes out to radio, television, social media. And last year we hit around 3 million viewers. This year we're hoping for 5 to 10 million. So it's pretty exciting. And we do have tickets available if you're in the LA area. You can go to promise2live.org and join us live. It's a small audience, so you're going to get to meet some of these amazing people, but you can live stream it anywhere on the planet. And that's the power of it. So host a party, get somebody involved, because people are afraid to talk about this, Jason. You know, it's like we're losing too many good people. Like 727,000 people died last year by suicide. That's every 40 seconds. And I know it's hard to talk about it. And our show is exciting and inspiring, but this is a big problem. Within my direct circle this week, there's been 5 deaths. One was a 15-year-old girl on her 15th birthday. And so, you know, we're on a mission to save lives, make a difference, let people know that they're not alone, and let them know that they're definitely loved, that we need them, and teaching people about 988. And that's a big part of what we do. So, and I would love to invite your listeners, viewers, to make the promise to live. And here's what we do. When I was in the hospital and we didn't know for 2 days if my child was going to make it or not, I remember trying to find resources and tools, and I just couldn't find them. And finally, I, used to be a reporter, but it's different when you're the story. And I did not want to be the story, and I didn't want to be the voice, but I took to my personal account and I just said, I need help. If she lives, I don't know where to go or what to do. Please help. And I was amazed at how many people reached out and came together. And when my child finally was saved, I was holding her hand and I just said, hey, are you glad you're alive, or do you really wish you would have died? And she said, Mom, I didn't really want to die. I just wanted it to stop. And this is what we know. People don't want to die. They want to kill the pain. So what I did, and what I would encourage everyone who's within our ears and eyes, is pause right now and make a promise. Say it out loud. I promise I will reach out for help to a friend, a family member, a trusted resource, or call or text 988, which is like the 911 for anything mental health related. And if you make that promise when you're in a safe state of mind right now, even if we don't love ourselves enough, Jason, to want to stay, we want to honor our word. We love people we make the promise to. And studies show people who make a promise ahead of time are up to 60% more likely to keep it. Promises in general. So if we can get people to start making a promise that if you do find yourself in the depths of despair, you'll reach out. There's help, there's hope, and you're not alone. And then on our site, we're connecting them to resources because nobody knows where to go until you're in it. And then it's kind of too late. So if you're confused and saying, maybe I'm struggling, maybe somebody I love struggling, go to our website under resources. And then we build a community, and we're doing it in schools, online, in person, on radio, on TV. We partner with Silicon Slopes. We do town halls. So all kinds of stuff. I've just really tried to thank God for giving me a second chance and paying it forward by helping others.
So my question is, what was, this might, help somebody else, but what was the decision or the conversation to share your story with everybody?
Oh, so I absolutely never wanted to be this voice. I mean, ever. So what happened is, I'm in the hospital and I don't know where to go. And everybody's saying, go here, go here. And I'm so confused and I'm terrified because I'm in crisis. I'm watching my kid and not knowing if they're going to make it. And so my friends at NBC reached out and said, hey, will you share your story on the news? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. If it bleeds, it leads. That's why I got out of TV news, because it's so trauma inducing. You're there on people's worst days ever and you're asking them questions. And I did that for half my career. So when they called me at the hospital and said, hey, we saw your Facebook Live last night asking for help, and I'm still at the hospital, they said, would you share your story on the news? I said, no, absolutely not. I don't want to talk about this. Are you kidding me right now? How insensitive. I was pretty upset. I told them no, but it was later that day when I was still begging for a miracle for my child. And when you're desperate and you're a parent, oh man, I just had dinner with my daughter. She's here tonight. She's 18. She graduated. She's amazing. She's accomplished. She's beautiful. But my stepsister lost both of her boys, and this family lost their 15-year-old. And so I know what that's like, and it's not lost on me. And so when I was begging God, please just save her, give me a second chance, I'll do anything. And when she woke up, I was like, okay, I'll do anything. And so I started with, I own a Vega Media Studios. I own a video production studio in Salt Lake. And I was like, I'll do anything for these nonprofits who are working in the space. And then I started seeing a few breaks in the system. I was like, how can we do better? And it was literally like 2 weeks later, the news station called me back, NBC called back, and they said, we've never seen suicides this high. Nobody will talk. Will you please reconsider? And I was like, are you kidding me? No. And I sat there and I was terrified. I was petrified. I did not want to talk. But I was like, is this a challenge? I mean, I made a promise. My daughter's life was saved. And if not me, and my career was spent in the military, in law enforcement, in front of the TV, like this is what I do. If I'm terrified, what does a normal parent or person feel like? And I felt like it was a little bit of a challenge. And so I reluctantly did it. And during the interview, I shared what I had learned. It had been 2 weeks. I just said, if you're watching, stop what you're doing. Again, I issued this challenge to everyone, everywhere. Stop what you're doing and go check on your loved ones. Ask them point blank, whether it's your child, your spouse, your parents, your coworker, ask them, are you feeling suicidal? Honest questions, get honest answers. You will not plant the idea. And the studies show that. So either they are or they aren't. And so I said this during my news interview. And when the story went live, that night I got a text message from a dad and he said, you just saved my daughter's life. I said, what? What do you mean I saved your daughter's life? He's like, I watched your story on the news. You said, stop what you're doing. He goes, I did. And I went in her room. And when I got to her room, she was in the process of trying to end her life, had a suicide note. We're at the hospital right now. Thank you. Thank you. And I was like, is that the reason I had to talk? if it was just that one life that we saved by me being vulnerable, because it was scary and I did not want to do it. And it's still hard. It's still hard. But then the next day, I got this other message from a family who said, "Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story on the news. We watched it. We talked to our 15-year-old son, and he confessed he was going to end his life. We're getting him help." That's the moment that everything opened for me. That was, Jason, I'm just like, hey, my whole career, if me, not an expert, but just a parent going through a tough time, was willing to share publicly, and by doing that, I created a safe place. We help stop the stigma when we talk about it, because people go, wow, I'm not alone. If she can talk about it, I can talk about it. I didn't know what to say to my kids or my husband, but now I do. And so, I feel like we created that safe space, and then conversations were had and lives were saved. And I was like, I didn't have to be a clinician or an expert. So we decided to do it every September 10th. And the first one, I just put it together kind of willy-nilly with my circle of influence, my friends that I had worked with in the industry. And we did it out of my production studio, Vega, and we reached around 160,000 people our first year. And I just thought about Live Aid. I was a little girl in 1985, giving away my age, pushing 50 here. But I remember watching that and thinking how cool it is when the world comes together for things that matter. And right now, I think the biggest crisis on the planet is mental health, suicide, addiction, and trauma. And I sit on a global board with some of the leading experts in the world, and they verify that's true. And their plan to stop this, or to have some kind of impact, is to stop the stigma. And so I think by doing these events, we can do it. So first year, streaming on other people's platforms, 160,000. Next year, 400,000. Last year, 3 million. This year, we're on track to get 5 to 10 million people. And I'm just so excited about that, because I know that what we do or say is saving lives. And we know the power of a promise. It's truly like, I try to explain it to people like buckling up. Every time you get in your car, most people buckle up. Not that we plan to crash in the intersection that afternoon. None of us ever plan to crash. But if you have your seatbelt on and you do get into an accident, your odds of surviving go up. That's what we feel Promise to Live is. Nobody plans to get in a crisis, but you know what? You don't know what 6 days, 6 hours, 6 months, years bring when you lose the love of your life, your job, your kid, whatever it is. And so we're saying, if you put on the seatbelt for your soul and make that promise to live, your odds of getting through that tough time when you maybe don't want to be here are improving. And we want to connect you to the resources. So if anyone's watching or listening, we're going to be creating chapters all over the country. We work with musicians, artists, influencers. We want their message, because you have people who follow you and love you and they trust you. And if you come together and say, it's okay, this is a safe place, we can talk about mental health. You're normal. We're all going through stuff. And so, that's what we love. We want to gather these people of influence who've got followers. We're always looking for sponsors and partners and chapters. And we're going to start, we created this thing. I didn't even tell you about this. Our pocket hugs. I got to show you our pocket hugs. This is a Promise to Live pocket hug. And it's got, it's like a military challenge coin. It has our website on it. And these are metal hugs. And on the back, it says, when times are tough and you don't know what to do, here's a hug from me to you. Call or text 988 if you're struggling. So what we do is we ask people to make the promise to live. And when they do, we give them a coin to keep in their pocket as a constant reminder that we see you, we need you, we love you, the world's better with you. And then we give you a coin to give, because the Surgeon General issued a loneliness epidemic. And we feel like if we can reach out to one another, we can save lives. And do you know Kevin Hines? Have you heard that? He's the guy who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and one of the only ever survivors. And he's getting our Impact Award this year because he's been sharing his message for so long. But he said he was 19 years old and life was overwhelming and he was ready to end it all. And he went to the Golden Gate Bridge and he was crying the whole way and just sad. And he rode a bus for a long time and he walked for a long time and he kept telling himself, anybody sees me or says anything, Jason, I won't do it. And he's going and he's hoping and he's kind of praying that somebody will see him and say something. And everybody ignores him. They act like They don't see him crying. And he gets to the bridge and this lady taps his shoulder and he thinks, she sees me. And he turns around and she says, will you take our picture? He takes their picture and he jumped. And he said the second he jumped, he knew he made the biggest mistake of his life. And he got down there and the sea lion buoyed him up. But he spent all this time talking about that. It's one person seeing you and acknowledging you. So we've almost done 100,000 of these hugs in the last year. And we have them available. Our goal is a million of these hugs next year. And we keep them in our pocket just as that reminder. But we also want people to get them and share them, because how easy is that to give to somebody who you might see sitting by themselves? Or even at the airport, I get stopped and I gave it to one of the gate agents and they started crying and they said, how did you know I needed that today? So these have been really, really cool. Our Pocket Hug project, it's just a tangible reminder that, hey, we see you, we love you, keep it with you at all times as a reminder. And when you're struggling, look on there, go to our site, find resources.
That is so inspiring. I love the coins. I think that's great.
The pocket hugs. I need to get you some of these. They're so cool. I have one more story to tell. Is that okay?
Oh, of course.
So the other day I go to an event and I, we're out and about in the community. We've got little chapters all over, but I'm out at this event and this elderly lady comes up to me and she's like, are you Brandy? Yeah, I am. She goes, you're the founder of this? You made these? She said, I came to an event like a year ago, right when we first started doing these. And she goes, I got one of your pocket hugs. My husband's a Vietnam veteran and he struggles with PTSD, mental health, and addiction. She said, after I went to your town hall, I went back home determined, and I had a conversation with my husband. And I said, I need you to make me a promise to live. Explained what it was. She gave him the pocket hug. And she said he keeps it in his pocket every single day. He holds on to it. He flips it. He feels it. And she goes, when he gets up in the morning, he puts it in his pocket with his keys in his wallet. When he goes to bed at night, he sets it down. And she goes, and by the way, I've washed that thing like a dozen times and it holds up really well. And to that, I say, thank you, China. But anyway, she said, but the other day, this was at the time 3 or 4 weeks ago, she said, the demons got to be too much. And he decided he was done. He couldn't stand another minute on this earth and he was ready to end it all. He went storming out of the house and she didn't know what was going to happen. She said she just hoped and prayed all night. And she said, terrified. And in the morning, in the early morning hours at 5 or 6 o'clock, he came in the door and she said he had tears in his eyes and he had this coin in his hand. And he said, I am here because of the promise I made you and because of this damn coin. And that to me is why we do everything. Because even when we don't want to live for ourselves, getting somebody through that hard moment when they can then find tools and resources and hope, because depression and anxiety and PTSD, they're not a death sentence. They're not a life sentence. I promise there's hope. And we're working with incredible people like Dr. Dawn Wood, who's figuring out how to address trauma. Like, we want to get to the root cause of this, but in the meantime, we want to keep people alive because there can be joy in your journey.
Oh my God. I love it. I do. And everybody that's watching, it's next Wednesday. Make sure you guys can find all the links down below. My last question for you, Brandy, is, so how do you go about getting the guests to show up?
Yeah. So, it's been who we know. We've been reaching out and it's like, oh, hey, I know Allison Holker and she's the widow. For those of you who don't know, she's the widow of Twitch, who died by suicide, who was on Ellen's show and they were married and just had this beautiful life and she never saw it coming. JoJo's a friend of hers who said, if she's in, I'm in. Rob Riggle is a veteran who's struggled and he runs an organization for first responders. And we're actually going to be honoring first responders because they've had a heck of a time. So we have an incredible lineup. You can see everybody on there. We have, 25 performers and speakers and super exciting. The tickets are available, but even if you can't be there live, so go online and get a ticket. They're affordable. They're there. You're supporting our cause. It's going to be a great, great night. Red carpet, tons of media. But if you can't be there live, you can join us anywhere in the world. And I hope that you will get the link on promise2live.org. I hope you will share it. I hope you'll watch it and then make a comment, tag us on social media. If you're watching, go online and say, hey, I'm Jason with 3 Geeks. I made the promise to live. And here's why I did it. Because I know what it's like to struggle. I mean, whatever your story is. So we ask people to go online, make the promise to live, and then share that with your people and challenge them. Say, go on right now, make the promise to live, a promise to reach out for help, friend, family, resource, because we love you and we need you. And if we can hate for any reason, and we see that all day, all the time, we can love for any reason. And so if anybody needs to hear that, I don't know you, but I love you and I'm here for you. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, you find me on socials, find my team, because there's so many amazing, incredible people in the world that want to be there for you.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me. Everybody, please go support Promise to Live. I'll have the description. All the links will be there. And thank you so much, Brandy.
And they can get coins online too. Jason, if people want coins, we do sell these online for projects, service projects. Give them to your kids. Have a conversation. This is a great thing to do with your family. And I tell families all the time, sit down with people you love and say, you know what, times are tough. Here's what I need you to do. Here's this promise. Make it, look me in the eye and say, I need you to promise me you're going to do this. And then you give them the coin and they keep it with them. So if people want those, they can get them. Again, if they want to join us, please join us, like in any way.
You guys can also go to brandyvega.com, like, comment, share, subscribe. Please share this out. Let's get as many people watching next week as possible. Thank you so much, Brandy. Everybody else, have a great night.
Thank you.
I will